When I began to teach, I taught only the radical or most direct process of self-transcendence, or transcendence of the self-contraction, and immediate realization of the transcendental divine self-condition. I summarized my description and realization of that radical or most direct process in the knee of listening. Then I called my listeners to merely observe, or simply to witness, the total body-mind itself and all things, or all conditional phenomena. I called my listeners to stand as the witness consciousness, and to merely observe all conditions associated with the first 5 stages of life, all gross and subtle phenomena of the frontal line and the spinal line of the body-mind, or all experience and knowledge of the circle of the spirit current. I called my listeners to witness the traditional error associated with the causal knot, or primal egoic stress and illusion in the 6th stage of life, which is the tendency to presume that consciousness is either separate, independent, personal, phenomenal, conditional, and limited, or, if transcendental and unlimited, yet unable to recognize or to directly and immediately transcend the body-mind and the world as they arise. I called my listeners to realize the 7th stage of life, or, by the radical or most direct process of consideration of reality, to realize the spiritual, transcendental, and divine condition of consciousness itself, inherently transcending and immediately recognizing the total body-mind itself and all things. I called my listeners to witness the I of the body-mind. I called my listeners to observe that the total body-mind itself is the I, or the ego. I called my listeners to observe that the ego-I, or the body-mind itself, is Narcissus, or the complex habit of the avoidance of relationship. I called my listeners to observe that the ego, or the separate and personal I, or the body-mind itself, is simply and only the activity of self-contraction. I said, observe and understand. All that arises as experience and knowledge is merely self-contraction, the avoidance of relationship, the illusion of separateness, or the self-deluded and separative habit of Narcissus. I said, all that arises as experience and knowledge is an illusion of separated urgency, dis-ease and need, painful desire, painful reaction, fleet pleasure, painful addiction, painful frustration, inevitable anger, sorrow, fear, and death, and seeking for more and less. I said, since all that arises is merely a suffered illusion of self-contraction, or unhappiness, the way of happiness is to transcend self-contraction at its root or heart. I said, therefore, transcend self-contraction at the heart, in consciousness itself. I said, in the first 5 stages of life, attention moves outwardly, descending and then ascending in the circle of objects and others, or all things, and any submission of attention to the things of the first 5 stages of life intensifies self-contraction, or the ego-I, and perpetuates the agonized search for self-fulfillment and self-release. I said, in the 6th stage of life, attention collapses on itself, in its place of origin, prior to all things, and all seeking, above and beyond. I said, in the sixth stage of life, attention subsides and is resolved in its transcendental or subjective source, the transcendental heart that is consciousness itself. I said, in the seventh stage of life, the self-radiant heart that is consciousness itself stands free as itself. I said, in the seventh stage of life, all conditions freely and spontaneously arise, but attention cannot bind the self-radiant consciousness, and all things fade in the enormous light of inherent and self-existing being. I said, therefore, be free of the circle and all the illusions of attention to the body-mind and the things of the first 5 stages of life. I said, be free of the disease that is attention itself. I said, the way that I teach is the way of radical understanding. I said, what is to be understood is attention itself. I said, attention is self-contraction, and all objects and others, or all things, are its illusions. I said, practice of the way that I teach is release of the motive that moves to things. Practice of the way that I teach is to stand free of things and to swoon in consciousness itself. I said, therefore, let attention collapse from the circle of things and fall to infinity in the heart current of merely being. There is infinite, inherent happiness there in the well of merely being. I said, the inherent happiness of merely being is countlessly brighter or more radiantly blissful than the circular worlds of fascinated separation. I said, therefore, eat attention in the heart. I said, attention, or all of mind, is always an act of identification with some limitation or limited state. I said, therefore, stand free before the mind makes a difference. I said, stand and be free of motive and object and other and thing. I said, shed the disease of separation and seeking. Be healed of the illusion of other and empty. Be healed of all things by the heart of Love Ananda. I said, understand and release all things in the radiant feel of Love Ananda, who is consciousness itself. All that arises is an apparent modification of the inherent radiance of consciousness itself. All that arises is things of attention. Therefore, all that arises is only mind, or thought, or concept. I said, you experience or know everything in consciousness itself. Therefore, all things are only the apparent mind of consciousness itself. All that is to be transcended is in consciousness itself. I said, therefore, what is to be transcended is the process of mind or thinking. Attention is the essence of mind itself and every thought. Therefore, what is to be transcended is attention itself. Even the ego I is merely an object, or an other, or a thing of attention. The ego I is only a thought. The I is only the ego, until the ego is transcended. The I, as the ego, is only self-contraction. The ego I, or self-contraction, is the body-mind. The ego I, the self-contraction, or the total body-mind, is only a thought. The ego I is not only contraction of the body-mind, but it is contraction as the body-mind. The ego I, or the self-contraction, is the body-mind itself, and not merely a someone behind or within the body-mind. I said, therefore, if egoity is to be transcended, it is the body-mind itself that must be transcended. The body-mind is a dependent form arising in necessary unity with the totality of conditional nature, or all actual and potential causes and effects. Because the dependent body-mind is always already in unity with all of conditional nature, there is no need to be born in order to achieve unity with conditional nature, high or low. I said, therefore, you are not born in order to seek and achieve unity with any state or plane of conditional nature. Birth and death are merely the consequences of prior unity with all of conditional nature, rather than a means to achieve unity with all or a part of conditional nature. Therefore, birth and experience, and knowledge and death are not merely to be sought or attained or suffered. Birth and experience and knowledge and death are to be transcended. The body-mind is inherently related to all and every part of conditional nature. Therefore, the body-mind, or the ego I, or the self-contraction, or the avoidance of relationship, is itself relatedness, or relationship itself. I said the ego I is a paradox of relationship and separation. The ego I is the image of relatedness itself. The ego I is also the image of separation, or relationlessness. The ego I is Narcissus, or the illusion of the body-mind. The ego I is Narcissus, or the illusion of the self-contraction. The ego I is Narcissus, or the illusion of the avoidance of relationship. The ego I is Narcissus, or the illusion of relationship and relatedness and separation and separateness and separativeness and relationlessness. I said, in consciousness itself, there is no such thing as the ego I, or Narcissus, or the self-contraction, or the avoidance of relationship. I said, in consciousness itself, there is no such thing as relationship, or relatedness, or separation, or separateness, or separativeness, or relationlessness. I said, in consciousness itself, there is no such thing as the body-mind, or the other, or any object. Da, da.